Beautiful crisp morning here in Pennsylvania, Appalachian Mountains. You can see how the leaves are changing and falling. The sun's just breaking through. And we're going to talk about this golden beauty right here, chaga. So when we think about chaga, one thing that comes to everybody's mind right away is the medicinal properties of it and how good it is for you, making tea out of it. And it's also a pretty tasty tea overall. But another good thing to understand about chaga is that it's a great fire starter. Now, it's not a fire starter in a sense like birch bark where you just scrape it and it just bursts into flame. We can create embers with this, or we can transport embers with this if needed. But today what I'm going to show you is how you can take your flint and steel kit, a small piece of chaga, and make an ember. It's easy. It's great. Now, before we actually get into that, if you don't even know anything about chaga, so chaga is a fungus that grows on birch trees. It's actually killing the tree when it's growing, and you can really easily harvest that with just taking an axe or a knife and just breaking a chunk off, and then this is what it's going to look like. Okay, now this piece of chaga itself, you can see there's a little bit of birch bark on it because of course we find it on birch trees. But if you look off to the side, right above my finger here, what you're gonna notice is it looks charred. It looks like it's almost burnt and crunchy and crispy. And then when you would break it off the tree, it exposes that beautiful golden color to it. So this is what you're looking for. If you find a fungus on a tree and it doesn't have this crusty outer black surface and it looks real smooth and gray, it's not chaga. And then when you break it inside, you're definitely going to be able to tell. So you're looking for the chunky black burnt area, break inside, you're going to see the golden area. Now, to process this down to take a spark from a flint and steel kit is really easy. You can use a knife, you can use an axe, but the best way to do it is to use your saw, because we're going to create dust. So all that I'm going to do is take my saw and I'm going to just work that up and down. You don't have to cut chunks off. All you're doing is trying to create this dust. All right, so as you would expect, the more dust you create, the bigger ember you're going to create. But for our purposes, I made a mound that is about 1 inch by 1 inch by a ½ an inch high. Now, with our steel striker, we can't hold this on our stone and then strike. So we need to use the technique where we're using our striker in a stationary position and we're striking downward onto the chaga dust. And now you can see that our chaga is ignited. So it only takes one little spark and this will begin to burn and smolder into an ember. It has a great smell to it and it doesn't burn really quickly. So although you can see it spreading, it's just building out right now, that ember, into something larger that's going to be very easily transferable into our bird's nest. And that's it. That's chaga with flint and steel. It's very simple, like so simple, so easy. So I highly recommend carry a small piece of chaga in your kit with you. Now, if you're much more south of Pennsylvania, you might have a very hard time finding chaga on the trees. The more north you go of Pennsylvania, the more readily available it is. You can also buy it online, like we sell it on the website, but honestly, you can just go out and find this stuff, do a little exploring, and I think you're gonna be well off. So the reason that I wanted to show this was, number one, I think it's pretty cool that you can do something with chaga like this right off the landscape with your flint and steel kit, because charred material is one of those things that it's fun to utilize, it's fun to blow a bird's nest to flame, but you also need that charred cloth or that charred natural material, where this is something you can just gather while you're out and still utilize your flint and steel kit. And I also think it's very important that when we put together any of our fire kits, we have multiple different resources in that kit for the simple fact that if our char was damp, we can utilize this. If we don't have this, we have char. If we don't have either of those, we might have matches or a lighter. So definitely always think about expanding your fire kit out. You don't need huge chunks of chaga this big in order to carry around. Something small, 1 inch, will give you more than enough dust to be able to make a few fires, and you'll be good to go. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I had a good time making it. As always, check us out at Coalcracker, bushcraft.com, and until the next video, stay in the woods and look for chaga.